I'm Justin Escajeda. I am the owner of Escajeda Holdings. We are a buy and hold acquisition company. We buy companies that we have deemed are great companies, and we operate and hold them forever. We never intend on selling any of them. This is the first video of a series of information that people need to know about buying and selling and what our parameters are and the way we feel that the proper way of having purposeful acquisitions. So to start off, what is a business? Business at a very granular level. All it is a group of people working in unison to sell a good or service to a group of customers, right? Now their goal is to sell that good or service at the lowest price and at the best quality while still remaining profitable, right? And they do this over the lifespan of that business. Now, over the lifespan of that business, the purest form of the lifespan, in our opinion, is, okay, let's say a company, let's just say it's a plastering company. Say it's a plastering company, and it started in 1990. And this plastering company, it's ran by the same owner for a number of years. It has its up years, has a couple down years, it has a couple flat years, and it's implemented and evolved all these new business practices to make it a profitable business over the course of until 2025. Now, in 2025, it changes ownership. This guy finds a great new owner to sell his company to that's gonna carry on the traditions and processes and take care of his employees that he's built over the last 35 years, right? So this guy in 2025, he just replicates the process, right? He replicates it. He does the same exact thing as the founder did, and he does it until 2060 for another 35 years. And then he finds a suitable applicant to sell the company to that's going to do it for another 35 to 40 years. Right? What happens? What are the problems that I'm seeing now in that normal lifespan of a business? Right? You have the firms like I described, like the PE firms, the private equity. They want to buy and sell every 3 to 5 years, every 3 to 5 years, every 3 to 5 years. It's like, okay, now this PE firm, it buys it, it changes up a bunch of processes, the employees get nervous, the customers are like, oh, it's not the same business as when the original guy had it, so that gets fucked up, and then they sell it to another equity firm, and they do the same thing, and they group another business with it, and you hear them on the podcast and everything like, oh, we just implemented services and this, we changed all the blah, 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 and it was implemented systems, and now we're doing this. It's like, I call bullshit, right? I just saw a guy that bought 3 roofing companies, and he says, I just combined them together and I integrated my own processes, and now it's a $50 million a year business from 3 $5 million businesses. I call bullshit. You know why? Because I've bought 4 roofing companies, and there is no way that you can just merge them all together like that and implement systems like that quickly. There's no way. And plus, in my opinion, it disrupts the normal cycle of things. Like, each business is its own breathing, living entity, right? It exists the way it exists on its own. Like, I think it's totally impure to violate that and change things like that, right? It's out of the natural free market of society. And there's other, valuation companies, they come in and it's like valuation companies. It's like the Wild Wild West. You talk to one valuation company, oh, we're going to do a 5x multiplier. The other one says we're going to 10x multiplier. It's like they're just shooting at the hip. I mean, I could start a valuation company and it doesn't even matter. I don't get the valuation companies, but another parasite. Investment banks are doing the same thing with the private equity firms. Like, who are they getting to manage these companies and to carry on the founder's way, who has successfully and profitably operated these businesses for all these years. It's just, it doesn't make sense to me. Another one, just like the unions too. What does the unions have to do with operating, with having this group of individuals as a company selling a good or service to this company? What do any of these parasites have to do with the transmission of business to them? I don't understand. But yeah, like I said, in our opinion, this is the purest form of a lifespan of a business, which we always try to continue, at least in our lifetime. The reasons businesses are being sold and the people who are buying them. What are the reasons that I've seen that people are selling their companies, especially now in 2025? The big thing is retirement. The baby boomers are leaving the workforce. They're getting older. They do not have, a big thing that we've seen is there has been no succession planning throughout the course of their professional career. And I don't fault them for that. I do not fault a business owner who has dedicated his life for 30, 40 years to providing goods and services to their customer at the most profitable rates. That's not something that they think about. I know for myself, I don't think about it all that much. But unfortunately now, they're coming to the end of their professional career and they want out. A lot of them want out. And unfortunately, there's been very little succession planning done. An interesting thing to see, most people would obviously think it would go to their kids, but boy, I've talked to a lot of business owners, and I'd say a solid 95% of them, their kids don't want anything to do with their businesses, right? So they're looking for a way out. That is the most common reason people are selling businesses, in my opinion, today. There could be other reasons. They might have a second business which is just taking up too much of their time. We've definitely seen that. We're working with that right now during an acquisition. Also, too, maybe the business is in distress. But unfortunately, a lot of times, too, if the business is in distress, there's a reason for that, and we don't typically look for fixer-uppers, okay? So who is buying the business? Who are buying these businesses? Well, there's people like us, our organization at Escajeda Holdings, who, in my opinion, are somewhat rare. We want to buy the company exactly how it is. We want to operate it exactly how the founder has operated it. We don't want to change any pricing procedures. We don't want to change employees. We don't want to gut the company for any particular reason. We just want it to run exactly the same way as the owner has done it in the past throughout his career. Another group of individuals that were buying companies now is becoming all too popular: private equity firms. This is a group of investors that will buy companies with a very simple business model. In my opinion, private equity's business model is extremely impure. They will buy a company with the desired result of selling it typically between 3 to 5 years. They'll buy for X, sell for 2X. Just like in this lifespan, that if a company is sold every 5 years, every 3 years, every 5 years, it's things are going to get jumbled, things are going to get chaotic. It causes a lot of confusion, and I've seen it firsthand. So I really think that is a impurity to the normal business cycle, lifespan of a business. So we obviously don't engage in that. What we look for whenever we're buying a company and we're talking to a business owner, the type of businesses that we buy, right? So we like the simple, easy to understand businesses. My rule of thumb is, if I can explain your company to my 11-year-old son and his friends in under 5 minutes and they understand how you make money, I'm all in. We like the simple. We don't like anything too complicated and with I need detail analysis on how this company functions. It's like, hey, I buy this product for X, I sell it to 2X to this group of individuals. That's it, right? So we, like I said, number one, we like the simple companies. Along with that, we like the simple financials. We like to see financials. The top line revenue, then you have your cost of goods sold, your expenses, and hopefully you have a profit, a net profit at the bottom of it. All too often anymore, I see, years and years of financials with losses at the end of the year. And what do we hear all the time? Oh, there's a story to this. There's a story to this year. There's a story to this year. There's a story to this year. And I'll get into it in other videos about what those stories typically are. But at the same time, too, we don't need the story. You're giving us the financials. That should be the story. The story that you're giving me is that you're losing money every single year. Then that's obviously not a company that we'd be entertaining in buying. And it makes me think about, like I said, I always reference Charlie Munger when he says if a company has a questionable past and a promising future, we typically will miss out on the opportunity. And I feel the same exact way, and we operate in that way. So. Can this business tolerate some mismanagement? Can an idiot run this business? Not that we would put an idiot in to run the business, or we would condone some kind of moron to run the business. But is it that simple? Is it that profitable that it can sustain some mismanagement? The owner, and how he talks about his employees. So. A lot of times during these negotiations and business acquisitions, we speak with the owner and management a lot. And we always try to gauge how the owner is talking about his employees, right? Do they care about what's going to happen to the employees? Do they speak highly of their employees? Do they say, oh, I've had guys here that have been working for me for 20 years, 30 years? Or the opposite, right? So that's really important to us, how the owner feels about his employees. Durable competitive advantage. How many people are in your space? How many people is the company have a very low barrier to entry, right? Or are you the only kid on the block doing what you're doing? That's obviously something that we always consider too. Is there management in place? It's very important. If there is an owner of a business who's trying to sell his business and he makes every single decision for that business 5 to 7 days a week, and well, he is the business. That when he leaves, guess what? What are we left with? So that's something that we consider too. If the owner is the business, then we're obviously not buying you. So, attractive price or good price? Now, obviously, I'd be lying to you if I said I don't want a low price for a good business. However, because we have no agenda on selling this company, we have no plan on ever selling this company, and we plan on holding this company forever, we do not mind paying a fair price for a good company. If there is a good company being sold and it seems like the management is in place and has good long-term employees and it's easily understood and the financials are understood, then we have no problem paying a fair price for that business. Standalone and the synchrony. So we have a lot of companies in our holdings, and they help each other out from time to time, creating more of a competitive advantage in our spaces, right? However, we will not buy a company just because the synchrony from our other companies will make it profitable. The company has to be profitable standalone as it is right now, as if we didn't have any other companies. Because we are asked that a lot. Hey, your companies could use this to do X, Y, and Z. Well, yeah, that's all well and great, but so how about we just save our money and build our own company like that, right? Something that doesn't need changed at all. We want to make money the day after closing. Be completely forthright about that. I want to make money the day after closing. Something that I always say to current employees that for a company that we're about to buy, we like this company so much that we're going to spend X amount of money on it because we don't want anything to change. We already know how to build a company. We already know how to run a company and build a company from the ground up. I'll save my money. Let's just say for this. Let's just say there's a roofing company that is really profitable. It's very simple. It's making a lot of money. Easily understood. We like the management in place, and we like the long-term employees. Well, we're not going to spend a few $1,000,000 on it and then immediately start changing procedures and changing everything around there. Like our goal is to learn exactly how the owner did it the last 30 or 40 years and do that again for the next 30 or 40 years. That's our goal. That's how we buy companies, right? And we wait for the obvious opportunities. One thing you will never hear me or any of our staff say is, we set a quota. I need to buy 3 companies this year. We need to buy 5 companies this year. If there isn't a deal to be had, we are not going to buy it. If it doesn't fit our parameters, we're not going to buy it, right? So maybe we'll sit for 2, 3, 4 years without buying anything and just operate our companies. But we will not force a square peg in a round hole just so we can say we bought a company this year, or we met a quota this year about acquisitions. How are we buying these companies? How companies are bought? The different deals. Every deal is different, and every owner has a different need, a different agenda. So depending on what kind of business this is, it could be a stock sale or it can be an asset sale, which will be described in a later video. A lot of times we use conventional bank financing. In that particular case, the owner would get a check right at closing, typically for the full amount. There might be a small bit held back in escrow, but at the same time, and other times we use all our own cash. We have no bank, and sometimes it makes it a little bit easier. And then the fourth type, seller finance. In my opinion, our opinion, this is the most beneficial to everybody, right? So we put a certain agreed upon amount of money down, and then we pay the owner the rest of the money over a series of years at negotiated terms and interest rates. This is if we have an owner who doesn't absolutely need money, and we've had experience with both. Some guys need money right away. Other guys don't need money at all. For tax planning purposes, this is the best. So, and to be perfectly honest, it works best with everybody, especially the employees too. So, but that is it for this first video.